Etta Marsh handed the coffee up before the sun cleared the ridge. Wes Calder took the tin cup and did not drink. His eyes had dropped to the fold-down board of her chuck wagon, where a pocket notebook lay open to a page that was no recipe. It was a river. Penciled lines marked the banks, the gravel bar, the ferry landing. Under the sketch ran a column of tallies. She had counted his herd twice since Abilene came into the talk, and nobody had asked her to count anything. He had hired her sight unseen through a Fort Worth agency because his last cook quit over wages at the worst hour a cook can quit. The agency letter promised a cook who could feed 12 hands through a fall drive. It did not mention that the cook owned a roadhouse on the Brazos. It said nothing about a cook who could figure freight costs in her head. It did not mention her at all, beyond the name A. Marsh, which he had read as a man's. She stepped down from the wagon on the first morning, early 30s, dark hair pinned tight, flour already on her apron, and he sat his bay horse and stared. "You are not what the agency sold me," he said. She looked at the 12 hungry men behind him. "You are exactly what it sold me," she said. "An outfit that eats." He needed her more than he needed to be right, and they both knew it before the coffee boiled. That was the bargain on paper. Underneath it, each of them carried a plan the other could not see. Wes needed the herd at the railhead by the first frost because his buyer's price dropped with every week of November. Ada needed his trail, not his cattle, his route. She meant to open a supply station at the one river crossing every herd on this trail had to use, and to break the ferryman who bled every outfit that came through. Her chuckbox notebook did 2 jobs. The front pages held sourdough and dried apple pie. The back pages held survey lines, water depths, and the count of every animal that walked past her fire. A trail cook was no small hire, and she proved the rank fast. On most outfits, the cook drew more pay than any rider except the boss himself, and earned it before dawn. She had the fire banked and the coffee up while the last guard still circled the bedground. She doctored a hand's rope burned palm with grease and a clean wrap. At night, she turned her wagon tongue to point at the North Star, the old cook's trick, so the boss could set his course at daybreak without waiting for the sun. Wes noticed that. A man notices when his camp starts running better than it ran under him alone. He also noticed what the outfit ate, because she made him see it. 12 men on a drive went through close to 100 pounds of flour a week, with beans, bacon, coffee, and dried fruit stacked behind it. "Your last cook bought town prices at every stop," she told him over the fire. "You paid for his laziness in flour. Buy a month ahead at the low settlements, and the same wagon feeds you cheaper." She bought ahead, in bulk, at the settlements where prices ran low, and his supply costs dropped inside a fortnight. He said nothing. He wrote the numbers in his own tally book, and that was its own kind of compliment. Then he found the survey pages. A wind gust took her dish towel. She left the wagon board unguarded for a minute, and Wes turned the notebook past the recipes. River depths, landing sketches, herd counts with dates, his herd and 2 others. He read it as any trail boss would, a spy's ledger. Somebody was paying for his route, his timing, his low water ford, and the somebody who wanted that most was the ferryman at Caruth's Crossing. He came at her over the fire that night with the notebook in his fist. "Who buys these pages?" he said. "Nobody yet," she said, and she did not reach for it. He told her she could explain or she could ride the wagon to the next town and be done. So she explained, with the plainness of a woman done apologizing. "I own a roadhouse on the Brazos," she said. "I mean to build a second one, a supply station at the crossing. To set it up right, she needed to know what a season of herds actually needed. counted animal by animal, meal by meal. His drive was her survey. His crossing was her storefront. "Feed my crew and stay out of my business," he said at last. "Your business walks through my business twice a day," she said. "But the cooking comes first. It always has." He nearly left her at Doby Wells anyway. He rode the whole next day, making up his mind. What decided it was supper. His men rode better fed than they had ridden in 3 seasons. Night guard stopped grumbling, and a fed crew held a herd that a hungry crew scattered. A trail boss can hate a fact and still obey it. She stayed. The notebook stayed shut when he passed, out of something that was not quite courtesy yet. Carruth's Crossing earned its reputation before they ever saw the water. The ferryman there charged by the head, and by the wagon, and by the man, because the deep channel gave him the only safe passage for miles, and he owned both landings. 10 cents an animal sounded small in town talk. Against 2,000 head, it came to $200 for one afternoon of river, more than a top hand earned in 5 months. Outfits paid it because the alternative was pushing tired cattle into water that had drowned herds before. That was the arithmetic Ada had been writing in the dark. A monopoly is not broken by anger. It is broken by a cheaper answer standing on the same bank. The ferryman, a neat little man named Carruth, with clean cuffs and dirty rates, met her at the landing store as if he had been expecting her. He knew a surveyor when one bought coffee twice and asked about flood lines. His offer was simple and generous and rotten. He would bankroll her station outright, stock it, build it, put her name over the door. In exchange, she would hand him one thing: the low water ford Wes Calder meant to use to walk around the ferry, and the day he meant to use it. "You get your store, madam," Carruth said. "He pays my toll like everybody else. Everyone eats." She stood on the landing with the whole plan she had come for held out in one soft hand. Her savings would stay in her pocket. Her station would open by spring. All it cost was 1 page from her notebook, and the man who owned that page would never even have to know. And there her private plan cracked, because she had eaten at the same fire as that man for 6 weeks, and watched him pay wages first when money got thin. She rode back to camp and did not give Wes the ford. She gave him the whole notebook: surveys, depths, costs, herd counts, her station figures, and Carruth's offer written out on the last page in her own hand. Date and terms and all. She set it on his tally book and stepped back. "That is every card I hold," she said. "The ferryman wants your route. Now you know what it is worth, and what I am worth, and you can do your figuring with the whole book open." He could take the ford and let her go at the railhead. She handed it over anyway, before knowing which he would choose. Some prices you pay to stay the person your own books say you are. He crossed at her ford 2 days later, at the gravel bar her pages marked, in water that never rose past the wagon hubs. 2,000 head walked around Carruth's ferry and paid the river nothing. That same week, the fever hit. Trail fever went through the outfit the same week the crossing should have felt like victory. Bad water, most likely from the sloughs above the ford. 3 riders went down shaking, and then Wes himself, burning and stubborn, gave orders from the ground until the words stopped making sense. An outfit without its boss scatters like an outfit without its supper. Ada did not let it. "Nobody drinks from the barrel until it has boiled," she told the crew, and made it stick. She moved the sick men into the wagon's shade, kept the fever down with wet cloths and rest, and boiled every drop of drinking water past argument. Bad water had put them down. Clean water was the one medicine she trusted. Then she ran the camp, not by claiming rank, by being correct. She had 6 weeks of the boss's habits written in her back pages, and she gave his orders in his rhythm. Point the herd up the dry ridge, water at the seep, double the night guard on the cut bank. The men obeyed because the orders worked, and orders that work are the only rank a trail crew honors. Wes surfaced from the fever on the 4th night and heard her, low by the fire, telling his own words back to his men. He was too weak to sit up. He listened for a long time. "You kept the count," he finally said. "Somebody had to," she said, and put the cup to his mouth like it was nothing at all. They came into the railhead under the first cold sky of the season, the herd full counted, the buyer's price still standing. This was the day both original plans came due. His plan said pay the cook off and forget the strange season. Her plan said take the wages, take the survey, and build her station alone, owing nobody, with nobody's name over hers. Neither plan survived the walk to the land office. Wes counted out her wages, then set a second, heavier stack beside them. "I said stay out of my business," he said. "I am striking that. My business needs your books in it." He put cattle money on the table, enough to raise her station at the crossing by spring, and he asked for nothing back but honest rates for every outfit on the trail, his own included. He had come to break a monopoly too. He just had not known it until she handed him the whole book. Ada looked at the money a long moment. "I plan to build it alone," she said. "I am striking that. Alone was just the cheapest way to be safe." Then she named her own term, the one nobody had arrived carrying. Both names on the station papers. Not his money over her work, not her books under his brand. Partners on the page, plain as a tally. The clerk wrote it as they said it. Calder and Marsh, supply station, Caruth's Crossing. 2 people had ridden one trail holding 2 separate maps, and somewhere past the river the maps had quietly become one. Outside, the morning came up gold. She handed him the first coffee of the new arrangement, and this time he drank it, and the notebook on the counter between them lay open to a clean page.